Alrighty, folks. This is the Get Offset podcast. My name is Andrew,
And I'm Emily.
and today we're going to talk about things.
You love saying that, man.
Do I say that every time?
Stuff and things and things and stuff and stuff and things.
Stuff and things and stuff and things. Um,
It's our version of boots and cats and boots.
boots and cats and boots and cats. You have to say it in a British accent for that to work. It's boots and
Really?
cats and boots and 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 cats.
Okay, just real quickly, there was a store in Nashville, and I really hope it's still there. But they had a big neon sign. On the top of the sign said hats, and on the bottom of the sign said boots, and it would just go between uh, hats being illuminated and boots being illuminated. It says hats and boots and hats and boots, and it's
Boots and
just
hats and boots and hats and boots and
boots and
hats.
hats and boots and hats.
Tell you what, I want to hear. I want to see people on our Facebook group posting videos of themselves going boots and hats.
Boots and hats
Boots and hats and boots and hats, and in different accents.
and boots and cats.
Like if someone can do that in a Jamaican accent, you will get a a wow reaction from me, guaranteed.
I will ignore it. I'm kidding.
Well then, way to be a dummy downer.
I know, I'm not a team player. You should know that by now.
Unless you're on a team of cats.
Oh, I love cats.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what are you drinking?
I Do you want to? You know what, Andrew? It's 10:20 p.m. If I were drinking alcohol this late, I would have the weirdest dreams. So I'm just
Oh,
rocking
weird.
a lime LaCroix. So I'm probably going to be belching into the microphone. No one's
Killer.
going to know because I'm the one who edits the episodes.
Wow. I see how it is. Throwing me under the bus.
Just outing you as not the person who edits the episodes.
Well, I did edit the first couple of episodes and then I got fired. So, yay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It
You
wasn't
know
really
what?
like that, but
It wasn't like that.
I like to pretend like I got fired. I actually just really like self-deprecating humor, if you haven't picked up on that already.
It's the best. What about you, Andrew? What are you drinking?
I'm excited because we splurged over the Christmas time and we got one of my favorite bottles of wine to be had
Mm.
within um, a fairly reasonable budget. This is, um, well, and just to preface this, I grew up in Central Coast, California, which I will personally claim is the best region for wine in the world. Other people disagree with me, but that's where I grew up, and I'm going to stand by that. So this is from Paso Robles, which is around where I grew up as a child. The vineyard is called Rabble, Rabble, and this is their Cabernet Sauvignon, or Cab Sav, as I like to say, because I'm just not good at pronouncing things. Good at drinking them, but I'm not good at pronouncing them. But yeah,
Yeah.
this has got the sickest art I've ever seen in a bottle, which is we all know is one of the best reasons to buy a bottle of wine. But more personally, more important is it's just a really quality bottle of Cab Sav, and I'm unfortunately I have discerning taste, and $2 Chuck doesn't do it for me. But something like this, I really appreciate, really enjoy. So I'll be savoring this throughout the episode. This is the little last half glass. My mom is out here to visit, and so between my mom, my wife, and I, this is night number 2 on the bottle. Just really
Nice.
taking our time with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the artwork is super sick. All of the artwork from that vineyard is just incredible.
You'll have to post it in the visual thread on our Facebook group, Andrew.
You know what? See, I realize that it's strange for us to ask each other what we're drinking because a lot of podcasts they sit in the same room, but we don't sit in the same room.
Well, that's
Uh,
why we have to ask each other.
right. So here, I'm taking a quick video just to pan around. I'm gonna send it to you right now
Why?
because you have to see this artwork. It's really
Okay, yeah,
cool.
I would like. Actually, I'm really curious.
And send. And we'll see how long that takes to send.
Well, while I'm waiting for that to send, I've s I love Twitter sometimes. I just got to see a picture of Phil Collins giving the middle finger with a tambourine down his pants. I'm gonna send this to you.
Was he hijacking it from a music store like that guy in Nashville who's been stuffing guitars down his pants?
I mean, I can't fit guitar down my pants. He must have a lot of space in his pants, you know?
A no, but have you seen the videos of that? I forget.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
have. It's really crazy. Oh,
You know,
shoot,
the
that is
funny thing is,
beautiful. Oh, no! Why
it's
is there
making
audio
noise.
in this video?
Oh, cool, because I didn't take the audio out before I sent it. I'm the worst.
That was like in podcast inception.
Podcast exception. My goodness.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, I could hear that. I just heard myself.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's like that. I mean, that's got to be the longest delay anyone's ever made in the pedal industry. So I'm gonna
Delay.
gladly take that title.
That's like a 30-second delay.
Yeah, take that, Strymon, your
Mm.
dumb volante. Um,
Oh, man.
no, but so the guy was he was wearing baggy pants and he would stuff the guitar neck down into his pants and then kind of just like stiff leg walk out of the shop like nobody was watching. And everybody's like all freaking out about this, but I saw that I'm like, oh, I've seen that before because when I
Yeah.
worked at Guitar Center, I probably saw that people do that 3 or 4 times. Like I caught someone in the act of doing that once, and like I can't
Jeez.
approach them because you're not supposed to, but
Oh,
the
yeah, it's
later the manager
dangerous.
called the cops and
Yeah.
um, got the license plate number of the getaway car. But yeah, I mean they just someone walks with baggy pants and they look around like see if anyone's looking. They grab a guitar off the shelf, they turn it upside down, and just like a pile driver, just right into their pants. And every time I see that, I kind of hope they put it in with the tuners facing inward. So is the hope of like maybe a poorly strung guitar with a little bit of extra bit on there just like rakes their leg.
No, they're just looking for the vintage style tuning machines.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
I'm oh gosh. Now we're talking about how to steal guitars. What is the 60 cycle hum?
So if you're gonna okay, well I could tell you, you know what? Scratch it. I'm gonna tell you my favorite guitar theft story that I witnessed in retail, and all of this is gonna be unofficial, and I'm not gonna tell you the name of the store where it happened in case there's any legal reasons for that. Even though you everybody already knows because yeah, reasons. But there's there hypothetically speaking, let's say that there's this guitar big box store that I used to work for, and then I no longer worked there for about 6 months, and I went back to go see a buddy of mine to get a friends and family discount, an old coworker of mine, and he's like, "Hey, Andrew, how are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?" He's like, "Well, it's been a really strange day around here." I'm like, "What do you mean? The store looks normal." He's like, "Well," and he just like looks around, like see if anybody's looking, like the same, like when you look at the footage of someone stealing a guitar, they look both ways to see if anyone's looking. He does this. I'm like, oh boy, am I about to be implicated in a crime or like what's going on? I'm really John. You're freaking me out here, man. And for the record, his name isn't John. Just the first name that came to mind. And he's like, okay, follow me. And so I go follow him. He's like, we're just standing in front of this wall, and there's like some it's like right at the end of the wall there's these Fender guitars, and then there's and just looking, there's like a couple stacks of boxes. I'm like, I don't see anything weird. What am I supposed to be looking for? He's like, good, it doesn't look weird, right? I'm like,
Huh.
no. And then there's this stack of kids guitars which should be in a different section, but I mean puts things in weird places anyways. But there's a stack of kids guitars, I think it was from the movie Coco, and he starts pulling down a couple of the stacks, and there's this big hole in the wall that it was covering up.
What?
And it's like, what the heck? Like a
Did someone
man-sized hole
Shawshank
in the wall.
Redemption the wall at the store? Oh
Yes,
my
to rob
god.
the store. And so he pulls up the security because he pulls up the security footage to show because he had access to it. And what had happened was there's two walls to the outside of the building that the shop was located in. There's a in the outside wall had this like random access door for the plumbing, but there's along the whole wall there's just empty space. So if you could crawl past the plumbing pipes, it was just like supposed to be an access door. You were just like in this random like walkway space that was like partially filled in with insulation, and someone had like crawled in past the pipes, walked down, and just randomly cut a hole in the wall into the inside of the shop in the middle of the night.
Dang.
It was and so I'm just looking at this like, "Oh my goodness," like, I feel like I should be meeting Morgan Freeman in Mexico or, like, I don't know what's going on, and yeah, it was and then he just, like, quickly put it back. He was like all hush hush, and I checked the papers the next couple of days, and they didn't make a big deal about it in the papers. I'm sure there's a lot of police report going on in that. But yeah, they'd funneled out a bunch of
Yeah.
guitars. Uh, I think the haul was like $20,000 worth of gear or something ridiculous like that.
Wow.
Um, which
Wow.
which isn't the craziest haul I've heard of being
I know, but
stolen from.
that place.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, that was just nuts.
It's like I didn't think that things like that really happened.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the one that I was that I got to see like evidence of. Another shop that I worked at before in a completely different state. Um, that my manager just would tell me about the story of the one day he went in and there was someone who was like hanging from a rope in the middle, like not by the neck, but like in the middle of the store, like they got stuck in the middle of a robbery and they were just suspended for like 2
Oh,
hours until the
man.
store opened. Managers got there. It's like busted on the
Talk
scene.
about being caught red-handed.
Right. I remember the story being told to me is like, hey, what are you doing here? At that point, the perpetrator is just like, well, I was trying to rob your store. It's just there's no hiding it at that point. Like, what are you doing, dangling from a hole in our roof? But yeah, that stuff actually happens, and it's the craziest
Yeah, I feel
thing.
like recently in the news there was some, like, bank, and, outside of the bank, they thought a sinkhole had opened up, but it wasn't like a naturally
Uh-huh.
occurring sinkhole, it was people tunneling to the bank.
I mean, it's fun to like watch like Ocean's 11 and be like, whoa, that was cool. But like when we're talking about this is a company's livelihood and like people's salaries are at stake here, and like people feed their children with the profits that would have been made off that. Like that just really bums me out. So it's like
Small
super funny,
stores
but then
that
it's like
bums
not.
me out. I mean, I don't think you should ever steal anything, but I'm pretty sure those big box stores are handsomely insured.
Well, you would think that, but that doesn't mean that, let's say, the manager who's not at fault in any way, shape, or form of a shop like that. I mean, that's totally affecting their
Fair.
bonuses.
I think that yeah, just y'all don't steal stuff that doesn't belong to you. Just don't do it.
Which leads us into our topic. But before we get to our topic, uh, let's give a shout out to our sponsors who are super rad.
And tasty.
Um, Tasty Cables. Phil is the man. He's hooking me up with some cables here soon. I'm gonna try and get those IKEA boards wired together. I just haven't had enough time to get to it this month with the Mount Hood project, and that's been super fun. But I just haven't had enough time to get to that project, so I'm swinging around back to that, and I'm hoping to have some pictures up soon of some neatly wired boards to show off what I came up with. And then our other sponsor is drumroll, please.
No. Don't drum on the desk.
Yeah, but it's for a drum
Oh,
roll. Come on.
could you hear that?
Jennings
Woo!
Guitars. Yeah, so Chad is also the man. Um, Definitely check out his stuff. He is an incredible builder, makes nothing but the best guitars. And the thing that blows me away with what he does is he hand shapes his necks. And all of his guitars are just at a ridiculously good price. He does a worship leader discount. Hit him up about that if you lead worship at a church in any capacity. Just hit him up, work out a deal with him. He's just looking to get guitars in the hands of people who are going to use them.
Yeah, they're very
So
beautiful. And he has some offsets.
yeah, I've had my eye on a Voyager Deluxe, and I'm gassing for one
Real
real bad.
bad.
But with that in mind, stealing things is bad.
So bad.
But sometimes stealing isn't necessarily as cut and dry as hanging from the roof, a hole in the roof, or cutting a hole in the wall
Sometimes it's a little bit more like cutting a hole in a volume pedal.
in a more sinister
I
manner.
don't know about sinister.
No, that's I just felt like making a voice.
You're all about
Um,
the voices
yeah, I
today,
really need.
Andrew.
I like doing the voices, but I don't know. Maybe I should just stick to the ones that are inside my head. And I don't know. That sounded funnier in my head.
Let's get back to talking about whatever you're
Yeah,
talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
so stealing things. So still kind of decompressing from NAM, and we've had enough time to take a step back and not have as many reactions, so to speak. And let's talk about some of the copyright infringement of sorts that there's two different instances we want to talk about. And to preface this, neither of us are lawyers.
But we're just talking
Um,
about things that we find curious, I think.
yeah, I'm really intrigued on so many levels between these two different things, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. I've got my own thoughts I want to share about it. But yeah, it was a really strange year for that. I guarantee. Yeah, my takeaway is it's not the year of the phaser; it's the year of the copyright infringement and C&D letters. So
Yeah.
that's my take
Let's
on
talk
them.
about let's start with
So
the one that
the first one
and
that came to
well,
light,
I don't know, it's just the one people have been talking about a lot more.
it's been generating
Waves.
waves.
Sonic Waves. No, wrong company.
Well, we tried. So volume pedals, and if you're already know exactly what I'm talking about, bear with me. I am going to explain this very briefly. The most popular volume pedal of all time, as far as I'm aware, is the Ernie Ball Vp Jr. And there's a few different variations on it. They're all in the same housing. Ernie Balls kind of had their shtick for a while. It's what they do. And as much as everybody hates the string, more people just have them. I have one. I haven't had the string break on me. They'll probably break on me tomorrow.
Probably.
Um, I say that every day. It's like in Princess Bride. It's um, good night, Wesley. Good work today. I'll most likely kill you in the morning. It's kind of how I feel about my string. Like it says that to me every time I turn it on. Um, but so Ernie Ball's been doing that for a while, and companies have for the last decade and a half have been modifying Ernie Ball pedals. I think JHS did mods for a while. Dan over at This One's Mine did them for a while. I know Loophole Pedals does them. Last I checked, Nose Pedal, which is a partner with Fox Cairo, they do them. If you do a mod through them, you get a Fox Cairo topper. Yay! Sorry about the random shameless plug. But so a lot of companies do it. And there's variations on what you can do, and um, but that's the thing that happens. Not everybody's satisfied with it, and then there's someone who's taken it a few steps farther in terms of modifications. And his name is Roman. His brand name is Schnobeltone, and he seems like a really great guy. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him in person, but he seems like a genuinely really nice, quiet, down to earth kind of guy. And he's been doing this really cool thing for a couple years now. I think it's been a couple years, where he cuts up a tuner pedal and he mounts it to the foot plate of the volume pedal, so it saves you real estate on your board, and it's just all routed in there like that. And he's been marketing it as this is an Ernie Ball volume pedal with a TC Electronic Polytune Mini tuner that's been torn apart and mounted up to the ceiling, or not ceiling, the top of the
Mhm.
enclosure, the foot plate,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. Super cool. I know Matthew Hoops has one. I know a bunch of other people have them. Really practical for a number of reasons. I think it's pretty cool
Oh,
personally.
it's really
And
cool.
yeah, Schnobel's done this to Dunlop volumes as well. And but right before NAM started, so just to clarify, so that's just setting the scene, and this is where it gets juicy. Right before NAM started, he announced his own line of volume pedals, with the deluxe version having the volume or the tuner mounted into it. Now, that sounds great on the surface, but he used the same enclosures as Ernie Ball, is what it looked like, just in different colors. And everybody scratched their head and said,
Huh.
"Yeah,
Huh. That's
that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how this plays out."
yeah.
And it didn't play out for him well, as far as I could tell. And given it a couple weeks, and for all I know, the way it went down is he was offered a sum of money to cut it, or I don't know if he received a CND letter. That's what I would assume. He got a CND letter, but within 24 hours it got pulled. So he was offering them in what was it? It was red, gold, and white
I have no idea.
were the three colors he was offering them in. He created his own toppers. Had I known about this in advance, I would have probably offered to collaborate with him. So Roman, if you're listening to this in the future, please consider Foxcut Row. My pedal toppers glow in the dark, and yours don't. That's pretty much my sales pitch. Uh, no, but in all seriousness, he did. It was his own pedal toppers. I think he did his own. He had modified the circuit with his own buffer. I don't know if it's one he designed or if he just used a general "this is what a buffer is" kind of design for the circuit. He did his lifetime string, which is the supposedly darn near indestructible string that's supposed to last like 3 times as long as an Ernie Ball Kevlar string. But yeah, I mean it. But the problem is it looked like an Ernie Ball Vp Jr. It sounded like an Ernie Ball Vp Jr. Quack. I mean, walk, talk, quacks, looked like a duck. I mean,
Yeah.
if it looked, and so I looked at that and said, "Huh, that's really strange. Like, is he stealing the enclosure design? Is that a thing? Is that stealing?" And this is where I feel like we get into the gray area of like,
And we've talked about that before.
right, right. And
Yeah.
this time around, it didn't look like he had something similar made. It looks like he must have sourced from the same distributor or same manufacturer, probably whatever. I'm sure wherever in Taiwan Ernie Ball gets their enclosures made.
I
Um,
don't know.
I don't. I'm
That
just assuming
happens.
again.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that was a coincidence. And so, anyways, within 24 hours, those disappeared off the website altogether, and then the modification listings came back up, but there's none of the original Schnobel branded volume pedals.
Do they not still say Schnobel like on the front of the pedal? Like
I
the
think
the
it might say like modded by Schnobel, and it's like
yeah.
identified, but it's still an Ernie Ball with a TC Electronic uh, Polytune Mini.
He also cut the price by $50 if I remember correctly.
He did, yeah, which I think was just a smart business move. I personally think he was charging a bit up there, but I also
Yeah.
completely understand he's a small business.
It seems like a very labor intensive modification.
Exactly. And so by no means do I fault him on that. Um,
Yeah.
so anyways, the site disappeared off the website, and right around the same time, Ernie Ball announced that they were doing their own volume pedal with their own tuner inside of it. So it looks like Ernie Ball did the R&D and created their own tuner. So it was just, and then so they announced it, and the pictures they showed their announcements were all in silver. And then when they got to NAMM, they had the pictures I saw had the Ernie Ball ones had the same colored enclosures
Huh.
as the three colors as the red, the yellow, and the white that Schnobel had released. And so
Curious.
I'm thoroughly confused as to what the order of events is and how they both ended up with the same colors and whether or not there was a C&D that went down. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to go be as bold to say that Schnobel stole anything or that Ernie Ball stole the idea of doing the pedal tuner from Schnobel, although I think that one's
Yeah, that
probably
seems likely.
a lot more plausible. And so on that note, like
Yeah.
Roman, I'm sorry that they did you dirty like that. And I really hope that you were able to work out a settlement of some kind, some sort of a deal where you were recognized financially for your contributions because genius and innovative and mad props.
Oh, I mean,
But
I would be
hey,
shocked.
so I mean it's been a chunk of time for us to go over it. And I don't know if I even have any thoughts. I'm still just in
Mhm.
shock and curiosity and just so confused. But I wanted like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I know it's really a struggle for small businesses to do things like get patents. Patent that is a very expensive process, and I don't know how patentable it is to just combine two different people's products. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I feel for him. He's was he the only person on the market doing that mod with the volume pedal and the tuner?
As far as I'm aware,
Yeah.
I think
That
all the other
I just
mods were
we're just
buffer
the string
mods.
and buffer and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I it's like I know that um people always wonder, is it best to be first to market or best in market? And I'm always gonna say, like, it's it stinks if you're the little guy and you come up with an idea first and then it gets swooped on. I mean, that happens all the time. It doesn't make it like fun or great. Um, but I don't know what like reason Ernie Ball would possibly have to compensate Roman financially for just coming up with the idea first. I'm sure if you talk to them, they'd be like, "Well, we improved it because you can now visually see like your volume level, which is cool."
I
Um,
think it's dumb personally. I don't know.
I disagree. I mean, if you're playing like steel guitar, typically, like if you're doing swells, you probably start just like off and then you add, right?
Right, right. It's a 0 to 100. Let
Right,
it
but
hit for 3
if you're
seconds, stop
playing
for the
pedal
next
steel,
3.
you're probably starting more like at 30 or 40 and then going up to 100.
I just you can't see it though when
That's
you're
true.
until you take your foot off of it. I don't know.
That's the thing.
I
That's
don't
the problem.
I can't sit here and say that I can think of a better way for that to work, but, um,
A meter to the left of it. Oh, like what if there were lights all around the edges?
what if the topper glowed in the dark? Oh, wait!
Oh, what if the topper glowed in the dark? What if the topper had whatever I wanted it to have on there?
It's almost like it's almost like
It's almost like we know somebody who does that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah, so
I'm done shamelessly self-promoting, I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, so that's just kind of like for me personally, like I feel for him. Um, but I'm just not sure what kind of recourse he could possibly have. And again, like I'm not a lawyer. Um, and if I were him, I'd also probably be exhausting, whatever like free resources I have to figure out like what if anything could be done. But I think we've all been in the situations where yeah, it feels like maybe like there should be some recourse, but sometimes there just isn't. And that's just like our trademark and copyright and patent laws.
Right, I mean, it's a hustle, and I think this is where we start getting into the which companies are trying to make a dollar and which companies are trying to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
And not that I think Ernie Ball has ever in the past, and this is a change of pace for them, so it's not at all surprising. But I don't know. This is where the idealist in me comes out to play. I wish it wasn't that way. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
Um,
totally. But,
I just want everybody to be friends. It's not
yeah, I mean, and this is like it's I don't know. I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad that Ernie Ball is finally like changing this product in some sort of way."
they still got a string though.
Yeah, well, that's sort of their that's how it work. That's how it work.
I
Um,
say right before sipping my wine loudly on purpose.
I couldn't even hear it.
Side note, this wine the next day, much jammier.
Aren't you a fancy pants?
Oh, don't want to get me started.
I do not.
I will bore you to death with my pseudo-somnus.
Oh my
'Cause
gosh.
I am not a som, nor do I pretend to be. Except that's a
No.
lie because sometimes I pretend to be.
So does Rick, but with coffee. Yeah, so there was, and I don't think there's as much to talk about. For the other thing that I kind of noticed about product releases in the past month was that it seems that two products came out with almost identical names, and nobody's really talked about it
It's like
because
this weird, awkward elephant in the room of like, oh, should we tell them? Do they already know?
I'm well, I'm sure one of them knows. So a few days before NAM, uh, one of my favorite pedal companies, Dwarfcraft Devices,
What?
released their new, I think maybe their first reverb, and it's three kinds of reverb. So it's called a treeverb. Tree, like
Cute.
Treeverb. So treeverb. Cool. Great. Really fun looking pedal. Gonna watch some demos on it certainly. And then
Strymon did it first. Flint.
and then Fender released a pedal that's a tremolo and a reverb that's called the Treverb. And to add just another layer of weirdness, it's basically a Flint by Strymon.
Right, right. I mean,
So it's
both of
like
them are
this
def
whole, so then on one hand there's this pedal that Fender's released that has the same name, just obviously coincidentally, as a small independent pedal maker, and is basically a Strymon pedal. And I really thought, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and hopefully someone can also tell us if I'm right. I thought that Strymon was building the Fender pedals.
What?
I thought someone told me that. I thought that
Uh,
was because it's a Flint. It's like it's the almost exact same functionality. It looks the same as far as the layout goes. It's tremolo with three little toggles, and it's reverb with three little toggles, and you can go between voicings that I think are the same. But like I can't find confirmation of this anywhere. I just thought it was something that was understood, but
yeah, I've never heard that.
you
I just
hadn't heard
Googled it. I'm
that?
not seeing anything about that.
Did I dream this?
Maybe you might have dreamed that. I don't know if you where you would have heard that. I mean, they're both in California. Um,
Maybe it was just some
but
weird rumors.
it might be a weird rumor. I mean, it's possible. I mean, ghost building does happen in this industry more than a lot of people realize, which there's nothing wrong with. By any stretch of the imagine. I mean, that's just outsourcing your build as long as you're whoever's building it is doing a quality job. I mean, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But that is it would be super strange if like they just blatantly like, "Hey, since you're building your pedals, you want to just build us a rebadged Flint?" That doesn't make sense to me. Um,
No, I guess not really. Um, yeah, but I had actually just um I can't even find anybody talking about it.
I mean,
I can't even really see, like, just googling it, I can't find anybody talking about um the Flint versus the tree verb.
hey, look at us. We're trend setting. Now everybody
Maybe.
talk about it.
Maybe
Um,
if they've made it to the end of this episode.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're still listening to this, you are the real MVP. So my take on that whole nonsense is, it's possible, like with the last discussion with the Schnobelgate or Ernie Ballgate, maybe Bernie Gate. Why don't we call it Bernie Gate? I like that.
Why are we calling it Bernie Gate?
That doesn't make sense.
Ernie Gate?
Ernie
Can we
Gate.
just not call things gates?
What about fences?
It's an Ernie-Fence.
It's an Ernie-Fence. Yeah. With that, I think there's pretty plausible that Schnobel knew exactly what he was doing, and essentially, not essentially, but like when using the same kind of enclosure, there's definitely a sense of this has been done before. With the Treverb and the Treverb, are they both pronounced Treverb?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure the Dwarfcraft is pronounced Treverb.
Right.
It's if it, the Fender might be pronounced
Treverb.
Treverb.
Treverb. Trevor. You know what? Treverb sounds like a really odd hipster
It sounds like a bad, like,
baby
hipster
name.
baby name, you're right.
Yeah, it
Like
sounds like a bad hip.
Trevor,
But
but
that's what we're gonna
different.
go with.
Yeah.
So the Fender Treverb. versus the Dwarfcraft Treverb, which sounds much more regal. It's not it's not a new concoction of effects, but that's not necessarily like a sign of, well, they're reinventing the wheel, because let's be honest, everybody's made a delay pedal and done their own take on it. And there's nothing wrong with making another style of the same effect and giving it your own twist, your own flavor. We all know Dwarfcraft never does anything that's been done before just for the sake of doing it. That's not really their mantra. I mean, they do some really wacky stuff, and sure, Fender's put out just kind of a fairly generic line of pedals,
I don't know. I think the
but
Treverb is stereo. It's also like $280.
I mean, well, I mean, considering that you're getting two effects in one, though, that's not as bad. I mean, at that price, though, you could be looking at like a RV five or MV 500.
Uh,
I don't know.
those are those are
That's
those are like $500, aren't they?
no the Boss equivalent to the Mobius.
Yeah.
No, I thought they sold for like 300 nil.
You know what?
MV
I haven't looked at. I'm not really in the
MV
market,
500.
so I just haven't really been looking at it.
They go for 350 new and used right around 235. And so, I mean, although I guess that's just a mod that's really meant for modulation. I don't know if that'll do both effects at once.
Yeah.
I don't know. I digress. My point is that I don't think that's the most unfair price point. I don't think it's great. It doesn't strike me as a super great deal,
And
but it's not the worst price
yeah.
point.
And
I mean, the
I
Flint
hate that I
is
feel
selling
this
for,
way. I'm sorry. I hate that I feel this way, but I just think the Fender pedal is not attractive compared to a Flint, especially.
yeah, Strymon Flint is selling for right around the same price, and that's tried and true. Um, I don't know. It's not the strangest price point. I haven't played it. I have yet to be impressed by anything from their new lineup, and I've played I think 3 or 4 of them
Yeah.
from the not from this current NAM, but what they released last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't think anyone either of those two companies. I think this is a very clear case of great minds think alike, and they both released it, looked at each other, and went, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh no." It's like if we have like I feel like I had this happen like with class projects. Oh yeah, like pick off this topics list and write a paper about it. And then like you go turn your papers and turns out you wrote like the same paper, did the same PowerPoint presentation as like someone else, like almost identical, but you
Mm.
didn't cheat.
Yeah. It's just, you know, there's only so many things and so many names. I mean, a tree verb for a three reverb, that makes sense to me. Tree verb for a tremolo reverb also makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, arguably not the most inspired names, but I mean, I don't know, I don't have a beef with that. That's just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I think that falls pretty squarely into the realm of no one's stealing from anyone. I think the of the two things that we've talked about today, I think Ernie-Fence is a much more gray discussion where nobody really has answers, and all of that happened
Mm-hmm.
without the view of the gaze of the public.
Yeah.
So I'm still incredibly intrigued, and I kind of hope more comes out of this. I don't know. Maybe someone will, or the next convention will buy Shinobu a few drinks or something, get him to fess up to what really happened. Who knows? I don't even know if he drinks. But so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very I don't know. I feel like this has been a great conversation, but I feel like this has been a really inconclusive discussion.
Yeah, that's conversation sometimes. It's part of not having the answers.
I actually never have answers. That's a true story.
No, I just keep asking questions. Makes me really fun at parties.
So yeah, tell me more about this painting on the wall. We got it at IKEA. Oh, so why do you shop at IKEA? Do you really like how their impact on the environment? Just like I'm, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that you're sleepy. I'm sleepy.
I'm exhausted.
Yes. Um, yeah, so I think that's probably a good place to wrap up this conversation for now. We'll probably do some more reading. I'm going to go ahead and retract my thought that Strymon is ghost making the Fender pedals because I have no proof. I have no proof. I don't want to start a rumor. So I'm going to retract that, put it in the fire,
Burn it alive
kill it
if
with
it ever
fire.
was alive in the first. Kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire. Um, well, thanks for chatting, Andrew. Good chatting.
Yeah, it's been a fun chat. I've
Yes.
really enjoyed this.
Yes.
I just realized I've been chatting so much I literally touched my wine twice to make slurping noises on purpose.
Oh, I did that earlier. I took a glass of wine downstairs to play guitar. Well, while I played guitar, I came upstairs 2 hours later and was like, "Oh man, that glass of wine is still sitting on top of the amp. I didn't touch it at all."
You put it on your amp?
Yes.
That freaks me out so
It wasn't
much.
in
I
a
don't
it
know.
wasn't in a wine. It wasn't in like it wasn't in stemware. It was in like a heavy bottomed tumbler that normally has whiskey drinks.
That's still, well, one, that's just wrong, but that's the wine snob in me. And two, it
Okay.
so freaks me out.
Okay, does it make
I
you
don't
feel
know.
better that the wine came out of a box?
Box wine can be really good. I
Yeah.
will stand by that.
Yeah, but that's the wine
I've
I
had
put
some
into
really,
it. Yeah, you know what? Uh, gosh.
ignore my snobbery. Let's accept it. Let's move on.
All right. Yeah,
I
so
will try to do the same.
yeah, great. Uh let's just oh my gosh. Close
Good luck editing this one.
yeah, close it
All right,
out.
folks. This conversation is slowly snowballing into a desperate need for sleep. So with that,
Thanks for listening.
it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this.
Yes. And
This is the Get Offset podcast. My name is Andrew.
I'm Emily.
Bye.
Bye.